hello everyone. Welcome back to Terra Mystica. It's tournament season again, and we're gonna dive into League 4-7 soon. That is to say, in this very video soon, I will make at least one move in at least one game. I thought I'd start by just like looking at the league overall. There's not much to be seen here, of course. A few players have picked a faction in their games. And only in one of mine has that happened. I forget which, but it's the one where I'm player 4, but I can't tell which one that is from here. I did a little bit of looking around into like, do any of the players have particularly remarkable profiles? Is there anyone I should be concerned about? I don't know. I don't know how much that really matters. But I did it anyway. And I found two players who seem a little bit worrying. Seppi is a recent entrant to the tournament, started just one season before me, didn't promote out of league in Division 7, but then went first, second, and this was a very close second, and so you don't normally promote for second, but when players drop out, they reach into people who almost promoted, and this was a close enough, first, second is pretty good. So Seppi got promoted there, which is like an okay performance for sure. Pretty good, I think. But what really surprised me is this rating is way higher than anyone else in the division, or in the league. We're all around the like 1200 plus or minus a bit. I think we have like an 1190 and we have like a 1250 or something. This 1378 is a little surprising. I wondered if it means that they play a lot of like offbeat factions and still win with them. But in the tournament, this looks pretty normal, I think. So it must be based on, we can look actually. Must be based on their games outside the tournament. Whatever, we'll look in a minute. And Darius has been playing for a reasonably long time. Nothing too remarkable here. This player has been kind of slowly climbing over their entire career. But notably, 2 seasons ago, won Division 4, the division we're currently in, and got moved up to Division 3. Got apparently clobbered there. But, this player is clearly not worse than the average Division 4 player, I think. Right? They won a season in Division 4 and won it pretty handily. This is actually an impossible score to beat. You have to it's not possible for 2 players to have 4 firsts. It is possible for 2 players to have 3 firsts and a second if they go first, second in each other's games. Then you go to tiebreakers. But did that happen? No. So, wait, what? Oh, I see. The tournament website, when summarizing past results, doesn't understand about ties? That's interesting. Anyway, apparently one of these first was a tie, so it's not quite so unbeatable. So, okay, those are the players that I'm like a little bit interested in. Let me actually bring those back. Here? Just so we can look also at their faction selection. And I don't know, neither of them is too remarkable. Seppi likes cultists over darklings, but it's a small enough sample size that who knows. Engineers are up there, halflings, sure, whatever. These are all normal. Darius likes engineers, but like we see, engineers are good. They're less flexible than darklings, though, I think. We'll see. Prefers swarmlings over mermaids, which is a little bit unusual, but not too surprising, and everything else here is normal. In some sense, like, I'm the weirdo in this division, just for how much nomads I've played. They're not really that popular in the current meta game, I guess you would say. Anyway, so let's move on and let's look at an actual game, shall we? You'll notice, by the way, okay, we'll go look. I'm actually in 5 games right now. One of them is not a tournament game. One of the Fjords games where we were particularly chatty. A player took it upon themselves to schedule another just for fun game among us to chat about. I'm going to get second out of 3 in that game. Unless someone really, really tries to ruin my day, then conceivably I might finish last. But the first place player is clearly running away with it, and it's not me. Anyway, so here we are in the game where I'm player 1, the only game where I have a faction selection available. Oh, I didn't even do all the, like, I don't know, sometimes I edit the page to remove all the unnecessary stuff so you can see the bonuses as well as the scoring track at the same time. Whatever, I guess we're not doing that today. And so those are the two things to evaluate, of course, the scoring track and the bonuses. Let's look at the bonuses first. Is there anything that stands out here? What's missing? Well, we're missing the priest, we're missing dwelling scoring, and we're missing temporary shipping. Missing both dwelling scoring and temporary shipping is somewhat discouraging for factions that want to go wide. Right? Shipping is a great way to expand your reach, to place more dwellings, and not just because it gives you shipping, but it also does give you some power, which can like give you a dig or something. And so there's kind of less reward for putting a lot of dwellings over the board, and furthermore, less of a way to do that. So I think that factions like mermaids are discouraged by that, or nomads, for example, are great at just dumping dwellings everywhere. But on the other hand, there are a lot of coins available to build those dwellings with, so you don't have to sorry, there's an operating system notification pop up that distracted my train of thought. You don't have to build trading posts to support your dwelling spree as badly because you've got like bonuses to lean on. So there is something there for dwelling based factions, but I mean, like, I don't know, halflings maybe are another example that kind of like to spread a bunch of dwellings. Cultists can go either way. But so that's the only thing that really stands out to me here is that it's a little bit hard to spread your empire out. So you might also want a race or faction that doesn't care that much about connecting up, maybe? That's content to just be in two different places and never connect them. There aren't a lot of such factions, of course. Darklings are the main one that I'm aware of, just because they can generate so many points in other ways. You might consider dwarves because shipping is missing. And there's plenty of ways. All the worker bonus tiles are here, which is good for them. There's no dwelling scoring, which is a thing they like because they like to build dwellings. Maybe it's not the end of the world. So, okay, that's kind of what I think about the bonus tiles, which is like, they're not telling me a whole lot, except that it might be a bit hard to spread out very much. Also, the priest is missing, which maybe means the cults will be a bit less contested, but I don't know. The priest is usually not a very desirable bonus tile, except quite early in the game. Now, I think in this game, the scoring track is much more exciting than the bonus tiles. It is quite noteworthy that only two cults are present at all. This is hard, right? This doesn't happen very often because you get 5. I mean, how many cult tiles are there? Right? There's like 9, yeah. 2 from each cult, and then the priest scoring one that has no cult. I think that's it. Yeah. And you pick 5 of them. And so of the 5 you pick, one of them has to be this, which is already like half the time, about. And then the other 4 have to be chosen from the same 2, from 2 different distinct pairs. So like, I don't know. I could do the math on that, but it's like not super likely. Right, I guess you choose one of them at random and it doesn't matter of the remainder. Then you need a 1 in 7. Not really, because you have like 4 chances to get this. So it's like 4/7, which is about half. Yeah, so I would say it's about 1 in 8, maybe, as a very, very rough estimate. That actually, it's got to be worse, because by the time you're picking the second cult, you really have only 5 left. So, or is it? Yeah, 5 left. So it's about a half times 20%. So like 5%, roughly, very, very, very roughly, to get such a one, well, haha, two-sided cult track. So we want. I think this means that, like, I think it's pretty clear, in fact, that this means these 2 cults, Water and Earth, will be hotly contested, and the others will be much less so. Wait a minute. Are there really just 9 tiles? I thought there was a water. Well, there is a water one with dwelling. It's right there. Okay. I don't know. I thought there was one that was like 2 water, but there's not. Anyway, so yeah, because the fire ones are worker and sanctuary. Oh, well, they're worker and power on stronghold and dwelling, and then air has. Wait, is there no 4 fire gives you a dig? How have I never noticed this? I want to look up, like, Terra Mystica list of scoring tiles. There's a thing here. Okay, yeah. There's. So this is the rule book for the. Well, actually, I don't know if it's the rule book, but this is the base game. So it doesn't have the temple one, but there are indeed 2 for each cult. And yeah, I don't know how I never noticed this. Fire is the only one that never gives you a dig. That seems like kind of important to know, maybe? I guess not really, because anytime you're choosing what to do for a faction, you already have a cult track to look at. But in some sense, like, this, the fact that this is the 4 fire cult tile makes Chaos Magicians just slightly weaker, right? In any given game, it's just like whatever. But, like, yeah, when this is present, Chaos Magicians aren't as good as, like, whereas this makes Mermaids good, or whatever. That's so weird. I always thought there was 1 dig for each cult, but there's not. Right, so the workers are both on Sanctuary tiles, and they're fire and air, which I did know. Yeah, okay. So, right. I really do think it's around 5% to get such a skewed cult distribution. And so I think that actually is kind of the dominating feature of this game, in a way. The other stuff is going to influence what we do, but this will make a big difference, I think. So what plans might we make for these factions, like these scoring tiles? Is there something that begs to be done? Well, I mean, digging in round 3 is not as late as possible, right? Digging in round 4 is the latest it's allowed. And digging in round 4 is usually the signal that, like, halflings are playable. In round 3, if things are particularly suitable for them, it's fine. You can sometimes take good advantage of this. But it's a lot easier to take, like, 10 digs in round 4 than it is to do it in round 3. In round 3, you're getting, I don't know, 6, maybe, probably less. But that still could be worth a lot. What else stands out? Well, late game, it's going to be tough to cash in on, like, on the last round, it's going to be tough to cash in on your economy. You're going to have to do most of that the round before with town scoring. And there will be digs after that, which everybody will probably have because they went crazy for Earth in round 3. So there'll be like a mild dwelling spree for everybody in the last round, but not insane because it's not like a dwelling scoring round. But this is a reason that, like, maybe dwarves again could have a good last round. They finish their towns, they build the stronghold to finally make tunneling cheap, and then they do some tunneling. I don't know. It's a bit late for this. Usually you'd like to do the stronghold in round 4 or 5, so that you can put dwellings in useful places earlier rather than just like cash in on stuff for points. But it's a thing that could happen. Dwelling first and then trading post is... it's a little bit low scoring because factions usually want to rush to build a temple early, usually for Earth 1, but even if you want something else first, priests are quite good in the early game. And so you don't have a ton of workers left to build dwellings with. And you can't even take temporary shipping. So, like, this beginning looks quite good for, say, mermaids. Because they're good at spreading out, but, like, you can't get the shipping tile, which would be really nice for them. So you'd have to, like, secure a dig or something. Like, and I don't know, even with one dig, given that mermaids usually start D5 and E4, I guess you would dig out F2. So one dig could get you, like, trading post, temple, 2 dwellings, which seems pretty okay. And then building some trading posts in round 2 seems totally reasonable for them. Trying to, like, over here, say. And if you got the double dig, that would be great, because then you have, you could build 2 trading posts here and here or something. So that seems like a reasonable plan for mermaids. Not insane, but good. The elephant in the room, of course, is darklings, right? I haven't mentioned them. I think they're extremely suitable here. Mostly because of the cult income. The scoring track is not that favorable, right? You aren't going to want typically to build a dwelling in round 1 because you want to rush out a temple, like, for sure, and that uses up all your workers. You could get a worker bonus tile, and maybe build a dwelling. However, the other reason the darklings, the reason, like, the darklings are good, I think, aside from just being generally good, is that they are the faction who starts out with 1 water and 1 earth. And they also start out with a priest, which sometimes you want to use for a dig in round 1, but here there's a really great reason to send it to a cult, and there often is for darklings. If you send it to priest, to water, you get it back next round, and you get a free dig in the round after that. Which seems great, and of course you've also taken 3 steps on the water cult, which is one of the 2 that will be highly contested this game. So it's a nice head start to get. And earth, like, you start with some earth. That's nice, and you'll have a fair number of priests. You could consider investing 1 in earth at some point. Maybe not, I don't know. And, like, a temple in round 4 is about perfect for darklings. That's like when they would love to be building a temple. Round 5 town, yeah, like, I don't know, you probably can't get 3 in round 5, even with fire 2, probably, but maybe. Darklings are pretty good. But you could probably get 2 even without fire 2. And then last round, okay, it kind of sucks, but you'll have a bunch of priests to dig with. And no one else is scoring a ton in the last round with the scoring track either. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not insane, by the way, I think, if darklings have a ton of workers, to build a stronghold in the last round to get, like, 5 points and 3 digs. Now it costs you 7 workers to do that, which is pretty serious. But it's 11 points, which is okay, maybe. So that's the thing you could consider. What other factions are good? I think cultists are good. They'll be really good at hitting the 2 key cults very hard. And they'll often get a lot of priest income early. A double temple opening is not unheard of for cultists, especially because it could let them hit some key cult, getting it to 8. So you might imagine cultists opening like Water 1 and Water 2. It seems a bit crazy. You'd like Earth as well. Earth 1 and Water 2 would be more favorable, I think. But it's sort of hard to see how that gets you to 8, right? You need first of all, you need 2 more workers to get the second temple, and also 1 more coin. But if you do that, you're building 4 times. So that's 4 steps on water, gets you to 4. And then Water 2 gets you here, and maybe you get a priest as well somehow to send it to 8. And so then I guess you wouldn't want Water 1, you'd want Earth 1. But anyway, that's the kind of thing a cultist might do. And if they do, they'll do great on the priest income round. And they'll also be well situated to get up to 9 Earth by round 3. And that'll be kind of the advantage the cultists have, is they'll get a ton of income every round. And be well positioned to cap off at least 2 cults. So I think that's a quite reasonable plan. I think that yellow is no good this game. Fakirs because they're fakirs. Nomads are just not much reason. Why would you want nomads here? I guess you could try to get 3 towns by round 5. They're pretty insane at building stuff. You could do that. But there's no late game economy to points conversion going on. So they'd kind of just be opening temple for Earth 1 just like everybody else. And I don't know. Maybe they could go with an econ favor. But there's no dwelling scoring. They're not going to want shipping scoring that badly. Nomads, of course, often love to build their stronghold. And there is a stronghold bonus tile here. But there's no stronghold scoring early, so they're not as incentivized to build it. They'll probably build it anyway and just not get as many points, so that's a downside. So I just I don't think the nomads are that great. Red, I don't think is good. Chaos Magicians, I don't know. In position 4, you might consider Chaos Magicians, I guess. Especially if nobody's taken nomads, it's a bit less problematic for them. But even Gray is fighting Chaos Magicians quite a bit for space. So I don't know. There's not. I guess Chaos Magicians are another way to really get going on these cults, right? You could take I don't know, but what are you gonna do? Water 2 and Water 1? I guess. It's only 3 steps. And giants, they're just worse nomads most of the time, and there's no reason to think differently here. Dwarves, I think, are playable. The extra Earth cult will be useful. They have some internal scoring for the last round. I don't know. I'm not in love with dwarves, but I could imagine somebody picking them here. Engineers, I think, are fine. But actually, before I talk about engineers, let's go look at green. Orin. I mean, it's very culty. Maybe Orin could go with their stronghold. But, the Orin stronghold is really more powerful in the late game than the early game. Because in the early game, it's just a more expensive temple, right? A more expensive and worse temple. It gives you income, which is power instead of a priest, which is probably, well, okay, maybe not worse. Maybe it is a better temple. Because a stronghold gives you 2 cult steps. Okay, it's a better temple. It gives you a favor, which of course so does the temple. And it gives you 2 cult steps every round, including that one. Whereas the temple, you get priests who give you 2 cult steps or occasionally 3, but not until next round, right? And in the late game, the stronghold is again a bit better. Oh, right. The stronghold gives you power as well as those steps, whereas the temple just gives you cult steps, basically. In the late game, the Orin stronghold becomes good again because you'll be the only one who's allowed to step 2 cult steps anymore. All the water priest slots will be eaten up like that, and maybe Orin could continue pushing on them or something. Likewise for Earth. But like generally Orin are not very good, and in particular they're not better than witches. I think here that's still probably true. Actually, what cults do Orin even start with? Water and air. I've just like never seen that, so I didn't even know. Hello, can I have an undo, please? I guess you have to. There's no undo button before the game has actually begun. So are witches good here? They're not the worst. But one thing that the green really benefits from is shipping. And there's no temporary shipping here. You could get several towns by the last round. There's less incentive than average to build Fire 2. Because there's no fire income, of course. But, I mean, if witches really got going, if they built their stronghold early, they could finish like 2 towns in round 3 and a third in round 6. Round 5 and a third in round 6, even without Fire 2, probably. So I don't know. They could be playable, but it doesn't really look to me like the scoring track or the cult track is set up particularly well for them. So I would be inclined not to pick witches here. Which is one reason that I think engineers are pretty reasonable, right? Gray and green don't get along very well. Neither do gray and red. I don't think red is going to get picked this game, but I could be wrong. And so I think that'll make engineers quite strong, right? Because we've kind of talked in isolation about which factions are good. And now I think that we need to talk some about, okay, given which factions are good, what's the matchup going to look like here? Like, we can kind of say, here's what 4 factions will probably be in the game. And given those options, like, which of those would I like to be? And it looks to me like we're getting mermaids, darklings, cultists, and engineers, which is like, ugh, it is the most boring. In the sense that it's like what. Actually, can we open the tournament page again? If we, I want to go look at the previous season, Division 1. It takes a while to load this page. Give me a minute. And then you have to reload it all again to go back to a different season. Here we are. I think. Yeah. If we look at the games in Division 1, we see Darklings, Mermaids, Cultists, Engineers. Darklings, Mermaids, Cultists, Engineers. Darklings, Mermaids, Engineers, Cultists. Darklings, Mermaids, Engineers, Cultists. And the other 3 matches, by the way, are Darklings, Cultists, Engineers, Witches. So, like, every single match had Darklings, Cultists, Engineers. 4 of them had Mermaids, the other 3 had Witches. Which is kind of depressing. I don't think it's always been this bad. But there's actually some talk in the forums about how like this is more diversity than, not more diversity, but a bit of a shakeup because Darklings got hammered. They didn't do well at all this season. They came second once, they came first once, and they came third twice. Is that right? Yeah, and last. No, I must have miscounted something somewhere. There's 3 thirds and 1 last. So in the kind of matchup with Darklings, Cultists, Engineers, and something, Darklings don't tend to perform that well. And so there's some talk about like maybe the most recent season is going to discourage players from early picking Darklings. And so that's the kind of thing to think about. I'm not sure how much that meta consideration matters in like Division 4, where, you know, the players are okay, but I don't consider myself an expert in any way. I'm not ready to play in Division 1, I don't think. On the other hand, every season I've planned to get clobbered and then won the division or the league. So who knows? Maybe I am a Division 1 player in hiding, but in hiding, but I doubt it. So that's the main reason that I'm not just snap picking Darklings, is because I expect this to be Darklings, Mermaids, Engineers, Cultists. And in that matchup, Darklings aren't generally so great. Cultists and Engineers are dominating that matchup, and Darklings are fighting for third, I think, right? Let's actually look who won those games. Engineers won. Cultists won. And Engineers were second. Over here, first place went to Engineers and Cultists. Over here, first place went to Engineers and Cultists. So in all 4 games where that matchup was represented in Division 1, Darklings did no better than third, and Engineers and Cultists were in first place and second place every time. So I don't know how much weight to give that. Is that kind of play going to matter down in Division 4? Or is it just like, you know, play to the setup, play to the cult tracks? Well, I guess that is the setup. The setup is the cult tracks and the bonus tiles. Here, it really does seem like Darklings have a pretty strong early plan. Like I tried to sketch out like what would I do as Darklings, right? I would build a temple and take, by the way, Earth 2, not Earth 1. I think that I don't know. This is Earth 1 is a good favor, no question there. But it's not the only way to score. And you can turn an economy into points in various ways, especially as Darklings. You can just like turn your priests into digs, turn your money into temples, whatever. And with late game town scoring, there's plenty of incentive to just build a largish economy. I would like to get Earth 1, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to get it when I build my sanctuary, not my first temple. And so my idea is, look, I'm player 1. I have 1 step in water and a priest. Let's send that priest into water before anyone else can do anything. I'm a little bit sad about doing that because... Actually, maybe I should build a trading post first. Just so I get a bit more leech from everyone building up near me. Because I don't really expect anybody... Nobody can possibly have a priest on turn 1. There's no priest tile to worry about even. So the only way they could send a priest to water in round 1 would be to convert 5 power on the first turn to do it. And I don't know. Maybe there are situations where that's a good play as your very first action. If there are such situations, I think this would be one. Because getting to 4 is really important. But it requires you to have 10 power, which nobody starts with. So in order to do that, you have to take this tile and also be like engineers or mermaids. No, that's not true. You could get some leech from other players building in round 1 and then have enough to burn. But like, I don't think that's really what you want to do. So I think I could afford to build a trading post on turn 1, then send a priest to water, and then, you know what? If everyone else snaps up Earth 1, that's fine with me. I'll take Earth 2. If they don't, I think I should still take Earth 2 anyway, but maybe not. Maybe Earth 1 is just, like, good. It probably is. I should probably take Earth 1 if I'm offered it. But I think it's more important to secure the 3 spot on water than it is to get Earth 1. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been overdoing it on the Earth 2 openings. But anyway, the point is this gets me to 4 water very easily. And I don't know. Earth 2 is going to make it so much easier to build my sanctuary in round 2, which I would like very much to do. So I think I should go with Earth 2. I guess it depends maybe on what pass tile I think I'm going to get. But okay, either way, that's the plan. And the other players, it's useful to think about how are they going to get to water 4, because I think that's a thing everybody's going to try to do. I can't imagine anyone not trying. Except maybe gray? This should be easy for blue and brown. Gray might have a tough time of it. You could build 2 temples and take like water 2, water 1, but that's not a very good idea, I don't think. Someone could buy a priest and then send it to water. I think that would be mermaids. I don't know. So there's an alright plan for Darklings. I can't remember. Did I talk about how the cultists might try to hit 8 on Earth? Water? I think I did, right? They could build 2 temples, taking like water 2 and Earth 1. Yeah, so that seems possible. They might make it to 8 in round 1. I don't know if they're going to be thrilled to take water 2. It's not usually the cultist's favor. And I think that actually applies here as well. You get a lot of advantage from it in the first round because it gives you back a priest. But after that, it's going to be pretty lackluster. They'll be able to get pretty high on Earth over these 2 rounds, even without it. And then there won't be any more cult income to get from it. So it's basically just like giving you an extra priest and a dig. And a coin or something. Which is not great for a favor tile. So I don't think cultists should do that, but it might, maybe I'm wrong. Someone might do it and they might be right, I'm not sure. I don't know. The other thing I guess is like, so I think I'm basically deciding between Darklings and cultists. Engineers they're also good in the matchup, right? How many games did they win? 1, 2. Yes, they won half of the games and cultist won the other half. There's no dwelling scoring, which is kind of a bummer for engineers. But they are one of the factions who can usually get up to 3 shipping relatively simply. Is there going to be a lot of contention for power actions? Engineers are good at getting power. There's a bit of power missing from here. I don't know. Maybe? Yeah, like, I guess, I don't know. And the dig actions here, that's a question to ask. Like, can the engineers get all the digs they need? And I think yes, with this dig and also 2 cult digs that they should have no trouble hitting eventually, and their temple generating power, I think they should be able to get what they want, probably. So, I don't know. They seem okay. Cultists seem okay. Darklings seem okay. If I didn't know about this, I would be picking Darklings. And I just don't know whether this is something that should influence my decision that much or not. The first pick of engineers is pretty risky, actually. Although, wow, they won DCEW? Really? Pretty close game, by the way. The margin between first and last was only 9. But if you first pick engineers and someone goes for witches, which I don't think is great in this game, but I did say witches might be playable. What order were they picked in this game, by the way? Darklings, cultists, engineers, witches. Yep, seems pretty normal. If you first pick engineers, you're really setting yourself up for, like, what if they want to go witches, right? So I think really it should be between Darklings and cultists, which is not a surprise. They're two of the most dominant factions right now. And why exactly is it that Darklings are bad in DCEM? I think it's because they're color sandwiched, mostly, right? And they have neighbors who typically are actual neighbors, right? Often, okay, the Darklings are over. They have at least one dwelling on the east, usually just one. And the mermaids are all in the west, and so you can kind of get along with them. But they have long arms, you know? Maybe we could make a town like here and here would be a Darkling play. But who's our neighbor here? Like, nobody, right? So it's hard for Darklings to find territory, I feel like. Whereas cultists will have yellow all to themselves and plenty of space to build next to gray. And typically the browns that are next to black are not ones that cultists try that hard to get anyway, because the Darklings are fairly good at taking them. So, like, Darklings, I don't know. E5 is going to be a pretty rough spot for Darklings to start in, right? Because we have E4 and E6, you're surrounded already. So it's really tough for Darklings to get a foothold over here. I think they have to go for C1. With mermaids as neighbor and, like, try to go up this way, which is, like, not great. You need a bridge, but you do get a lot of fertile ground up here. You need some shipping a bit early, which is unpleasant because there's no shipping tile. Yeah, That's a good question. Is, like, asking in this DCEM setup with no shipping, where do Darklings even place their dwellings? Maybe E1 to like E2 and F2? No, F2 is taken. D2. Oh, right. The mermaids aren't even going to be on D2. They'll be on E4. So this doesn't have a neighbor. This is a really easy town, but it has no neighbors. No one ever comes over here. So you can't actually build this up. So, like, you don't like C1. You don't like E5. B3, no neighbors. No neighbors here. Like, I don't think you could attract the cultists just by building a dwelling here. They've got better things to do. So you almost have to go east and maybe H5, but you won't have any neighbor here. So you kind of have to go all east. And then, like, I don't know. Engineers will be maybe just deny you. They'll, like, build here and then never spend a long time before they do anything here, and you don't get any elite from them. They'll just work on E7. So I don't know. I feel like Darklings are way too constrained in dwelling placement because of their neighbors that they expect to have. Where the cultists can go just about anywhere, right? E6 is wide open. Okay, you know, maybe you'll have to take F3 because Darklings won't be able to get it in time, probably. And you probably can get E5. I don't know. Maybe mermaids will take it, but that's not the end of the world. It just gives you another neighbor, you know, to give leech to with F3, and you can probably get either D4 or G2 to build your sanctuary town. And then over here, you can be the only one neighboring with Darklings, perhaps, right? Which they don't love. Like, you take F5, I guess, basically, would be the normal thing, and then walk over here for your bridge town. I mean, last time I played DCEM, I did play Cultists. Yeah, that was the last season, right? And I got a town here, I think? It wasn't here, was it? No. And then I also got this one in, which was nice. Yeah, I remember Engineers had D4. And that seems totally fine. Darklings, I think, came last in that game, by the way. I think Engineers are slightly more favored than Cultists in that matchup, but the round track looks a lot better to me for Cultists because you can really... all of your cult steps are pulling a lot of weight. At least until round 3, by which point you'll probably have capped both of these cults. And then you can just, I don't know. Maybe you won't have gotten up to 8 yet. You'll only be at like 5 or 6 Earth, and you can get a bit more. Yeah, I think I should take Cultists. Like, also, late game Stronghold is great for Cultists. So if I take Cultists, what does my first round look like? I'm placing on E6 and F5 probably, right? And I want a temple for Earth 1. Sure. Seems about right. I don't think Earth 2 is that great. And, you know, what bonus tile am I getting? That's something to talk about for all the factions, really. It's like, as player 1, what bonus tile are you going to get? The dig, I assume, is going to be gone. People are going to want it to build a dwelling in round 1, in addition to it being just generally good. This will still be there for sure. Nobody's taking that. Well, I don't know. Maybe someone will be really desperate for power if this one's already gone, but I don't think so. This one will be taken. The trading post scoring tile, probably still going to be there. Nobody wants workers that badly, and nobody wants to leave trading posts lying around in round 1, typically. They'd rather get more workers or some power than get maybe some points, but probably not. So I think you're going to have like your choice between 7, 10, 3, and either 5 or 2. I'm not sure really. These 3, we're going to have 2 of them, and I don't know which 2. I think, though, that actually bonus 2 is going to be better than bonus 3 for most factions, or for somebody anyway. Because hitting 4 water is so valuable. You might need a little bit of help if you're like, I don't know. Let's say engineers build 2 temples. They take water 2 and earth 1. And they take another step with their water favor, but they need 1 more. And if they took bonus 2, they would get it that way. That also gives them the extra points coins they need to... They need like 2 more coins to build 2 temples. And they have enough workers. So, yeah, I think for engineers, bonus 2 is pretty reasonable here. Darklings would love this one, but it'll probably be taken before that, right? Like, maybe Mermaids take this. Like, maybe Darklings get second picked, let's say. Mermaids get picked later and grab this one. And then they buy a priest to get them to 4 water. And so Darklings probably want bonus 5, right? Get that extra worker. But no, they want to send their priest to water. So they don't really need the worker. Maybe they'll take coins? Could be. So who's actually taking the spade? Maybe it's the mermaids. It's probably the mermaids, right? They want that more than this. So actually, player 2 Darklings might wind up actually getting bonus 6, which would be pretty nuts, I think. That would make them much stronger. But in seat 1, I don't think I have that luxury. If I pick Darklings in seat 1, I think Cultists would take this one. After the Spade and the Cult Step were gone, say. Yeah. So I think I go Cultists here. On the other hand, even in this, like, didn't we have a Division 1? We had this game open. Like, just... Oh, I looked at a DCEW game. So what order were players picking in a DCEM matchup? CEDM. Yeah, interesting. So that sounds about right to me. EDCM, okay. But I don't know. I think I should go Cultists here. Yeah. I mean, if you look at my my tournament profile, that's not a thing I do, right? I just pick Darklings whenever they're available, as it says here. But I think, except in season 1 where I didn't know any better and I picked Engineers, it was insanely risky, but I didn't get punished. I think here Cultists are quite playable, and I have a reasonable idea for an opening for them, right? Oh, we were looking at what bonus tile. Right, what bonus tile will I get? I forget. Among these, probably the coins. Maybe the worker to help me build 2 temples or something. Or didn't I need the cult step? If I build... Yeah, but I don't want water 2, so I really should only be going for 4 water in round 1 and try to get to 8 by round 2. Yeah. Take, like, maybe Earth 1 and Earth 2 as my favors, or just Earth 1, and then try to get some economy going later with probably Earth 2, right? Maybe Fire 1, I don't know. But there's a lot of coins coming in rounds 3 and 4, so I think workers are probably more important. And in this round, Earth 2 gives you coins anyway. Yeah, I'm going to pick Cultist. All right, I'm done dithering. That's what we're going to do here. It took... Oh my god. I like... That took me longer than I realized. I got to go. It's like dinner's ready in 8 seconds. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.